Hey everybody, Aaron Zamzow here, Fire Rescue Fitness Podcast. We're going to talk today about how being a first responder, the job itself is like a drug and what really to do about it. Let's talk.
You're listening to the Fire Rescue Athlete Podcast with Aaron Zamzow, talking all things health and fitness for the first responder community.
So you're probably thinking, what in the heck is this guy talking about now? How is being a first responder kind of like a drug? Well, let's talk about it a little bit. Drugs, we all know some have some very good aspects to them. Anything from pharmacology, they help in a lot of cases. But then there's also, those side effects and sometimes even addictions that come from drugs, right? So you're watching TV and you listen to side effects may include nausea, vomiting, formulating fourth toe or sixth toe, whatever it might be. Like, the list goes on. And sometimes you wonder, well, how in the hell is this thing good for me if I could potentially have all these side effects? And I look at the job kind of the same way. And my eyes have been opened over the last couple of years. I've been very fortunate to go through a lot of different seminars and webinars and attend a lot of different meetings from, being on the board for Firehouse and FR1 and now working with FRCE, which is the First Responder Center for Excellence, and just having conversations through Fire Rescue Fitness, the mental health side and the stress that our jobs have taken, on us personally, I think is a lot more immense than we really lead on to. We might know it's there, but you know, it is kind of like a drug, right? We get addicted to helping people in some cases. In some cases, we get addicted to the lifestyle, meaning we like the schedule. Let's face it, in the eyes of the public, we're very fortunate where people like, for the most part, we're in favor of a lot, are in favor of us. They support us, and that can really add up to, this sense of wow, I love my job. Now, the other side effect of that, right, shift work, is a lack of sleep, the added stress that we get on the job. And I believe a lot of times we as first responders don't understand how the stress affects us. And let me give you an idea of what I'm talking about, right? If you go to any firehouse and you sit around the firehouse table, and it doesn't matter whether it's career or volunteer, on call paid, the conversations that happen a lot of times at those tables, if you were to have that conversation, uh, in a general public place, people would think you're kind of nuts. And, we sometimes process our calls that way, right? Um, let's say you go into a hoarder's house and the smell is bad. And, you go back to the firehouse and you talk a little bit about it, or, you witness a car accident. When you're on that accident scene, you're focused on your job. And again, this doesn't matter if you're career volunteer. I've had conversations with both that, volunteers, they respond from home. Careers, you're paid to be there, and then you have these calls and these exposures to these stresses. And we don't necessarily know how our body and how our minds and attitudes are really affected by that. Especially as this drug is of the job is accumulated right in your system. So the longer you go on, the more you see, maybe the saltier you become, and that can lead to a lot of internal stress, and a lot of that internal stress can lead to inflammation, which can lead to other health issues. And so I start, hopefully you're starting to get where I'm going with this. Is we love the job. I personally love the job, but last night I didn't get more than 2 hours of sleep, which is probably why I'm ranting about this right now. Are there things that I can do? Sometimes not to get more sleep, but I could plan more naps throughout my day, and plan a little bit more accordingly uh, to it. You know, um, but that's one of the aspects. We get addicted to that schedule. We get addicted to shift work, and we love that freedom that comes with it. But we also get that stress of the calls and the lack of sleep. And now you look at our culture too, right? When I was on my on-call paid or volunteer departments, we would get together one time a week for training, but that always led to cocktails in the bar afterwards. And that can add up a couple times a week. And then the social side of things, There's always events going on. There's always charities, which are great, but that can all add up on your family life, which adds to your stress. That can also put you in situations where you're not eating well and you're not making the best decisions for your health, right? So you see how this can kind of escalate and roll into a an unhealthy kind of situation for you, kind of like a drug, like taking too much of a drug. If you're on call paid or if you're volunteer and you're responding a lot, that means you're not there with your family. And, you're also being exposed to these stresses. Sometimes we get very frustrated with our departments from a standpoint of leadership or a lack of leadership or a lack of how they're run. And that adds stress. And then you throw calls on there. That is, again, weighs on our health. And, just for a moment, think about really what I'm saying here. Take a step back and go, yeah, there are calls that stick with me, right? There are conversations that I have in the firehouse that probably aren't ones that I want to take home. There are times when I need more sleep. There are times when I give into the culture and go out a lot more than I maybe should have. The other part of that culture is with nutrition. We are a lot of times stressed out. We are tired. And so we go for that quick fix coffee. It's a staple in every single firehouse. Now, I'm not saying coffee's bad, right? And I'm not telling everybody to quit the job. What I'm telling people to do is take a look and evaluate what toll the job is having on your overall health and life. Now there's good sides to that. Again, pay is sometimes really good, the schedule's really good, but then there's also, the time away from family. The culture sometimes is not conducive to healthy eating, right? Because of the stress and because of the lack of sleep. And the other side of this, I think our culture, sometimes you get sucked into, I like to call it the tunnel of negativity, when you're around people that this sucks and that sucks and we should be doing this and chief should do that. And and before you know it, you're sitting at the table and you suck down 2 cups of coffee and you feel like you're depressed, because and that's part of the culture. And I'm not saying that I don't partake in that. I try not to. Sometimes it happens, but that's just part of this thing that I like to call the drug of being a first responder. When you start to see all these negative effects come up more than the positive effects of the job. And I think we all, at some point throughout a career, probably experience that. And, and it's okay. You're not alone. If there's that call that's waiting on you, you're not alone. The cool part about the culture of the fire service right now, as much as I like to pick on it, is that we are starting to be a better service. We're starting to provide better service to ourselves from the standpoint of looking at mental health, talking more about health and fitness. There's been a huge focus on cancer and trying to combat cancer. There has also been a huge movement to look at the negative effects of our mental health and trying to deal with that. And I think now you're going to start to see everything come full circle when we talk about health and fitness. One of the best ways to combat PTSD, mental health issues, depression is to eat right and work out consistently. Now that's backed by research. That's backed by science. A lot of recovery programs with drugs and alcohol addiction are incorporating in fitness because of that. So there are all these stressors and there's all these things that can become negative of the job. And if the reason I want to talk about this is if you're kind of looking and listening to me going, I might be at that point, or you could see where that can go, where your career can go. First thing I want to tell you is you're not alone. The second thing is that it's really quite simple to change that. And what I mean by that is, look, this job is like a drug because it can start to weigh on you mentally, and then that then adds to, let's say, physically. You're gaining 5 or 10 pounds a year when you're in this fire service, or where you're in, even a nurse and a doctor, and so you're not alone with that. Like, it happened to me a couple of times, and you start to get down this negative tunnel. You're not alone, and the cool part is that there is a culture shift coming where we are trying to get away from that. Okay. And one of the first things that you need to do is look in the mirror and evaluate where you are within your career, where you are at this moment. You might be a little bit depressed. You might be a little bit down. The cool part is there's resources for you to help you. I'm here to provide a resource, hopefully, like and I can point you in a direction to help. One with fitness programming, two, the First Responder Center for Excellence has some great resources on mental health. The IAFF, the Volunteer Fire Council. There are a lot of resources out there to help you. I'm here to help you if you need to send someone a message. The second part of this is, first you look at where are you right now, and you might be like, hey, Zam, I'm doing pretty good. I feel good about where I am. I could maybe lose 5 or 10 pounds. Great. Next thing is get resources to help you. So if you want to lose some weight, Fire Rescue Fitness, I think, is one of the best resources out there. I got programming for you. I have, nutritional resources. We got now an FRF app. We're now launching very quickly here our own meal replacement supplement to help with the nutrition side of stuff. So look at the resources that are out there. FR1 has some great stuff. Dan Kerrigan, Jim Moss are great for resources. There are fitness, health, and wellness and mental health resources out there for you to help change your culture, to help change kind of where you're at in your career. So evaluate where you are. Look at, hey, be 100% honest when you do that too. Look in the mirror. It's the hardest thing to do. If you're all of a sudden your attitude sucks and you're very crabby and you're taking it on your family and your crew, that's hard. I've been there. Personally, I went and got counseling, and I see a counselor once or twice a year just to make sure that I'm maintaining where I need to be. But a lot of times we may not recognize that. So look for cues around those that love you and that are around you and your crew. If your attitude's kind of going downhill, evaluate that. Look for resources that will help you change that. And the next part of that, the third step, is to create a plan to change that. So if mentally you're not doing very well and you're kind of getting down in the dumps and you're battling a little bit of depression, find some resources. I'll tell you, fitness is a big part of that. Start working out, start moving a little bit. Maybe go get some counseling and execute that. Give yourself a 30, 60, 90-day plan to improve that side of your life. And then the fourth step is you got to do it. So make plans to go see a counselor, listen to what they're saying. And if you, start to execute and follow through with things fitness wise. If you want to change your fitness culture, you need to lose 30 or 40 pounds. Well, have your plan and then execute. I think that's this fourth step, this execution step is one that is the hardest, but simplify it, right? And really it comes down to a couple things. If you need to work out more, you got to just plan time, 20, 30 minutes a day, right? And eventually that will turn into 30 or 40. If you need to make time for your mental health, take 5 or 10 minutes a day, go off in a corner, do some deep breathing, do some maybe a gratitude journal. That really personally for me helps me a ton. The moment I start to feel like I'm going in this funnel, I just say, hey, you know what? I'm very thankful I get to do a podcast. I'm very thankful to be able to reach out and talk to members of the fire service and hear their stories. Very fortunate to be able to ride backwards where I'm at. And, and very, very fortunate for the people that are around me. You start thinking about the gratitude side of the job in your life, and it changes your entire outlook. 3 minutes a day. Okay. But execute that. Do that consistently. Do a gratitude journal. I'll tell you what, with kids are the greatest example of this. Kids start, I want this and I want that. I don't get this. And be like, just say, hey, what's one thing you're thankful for? Well, I like ice cream. And that'll turn into 2 or 3. And before you know it, your kids change right before your eyes. Same thing works for firefighters, right? And hopefully you're chuckling a little bit, fart jokes and a little bit of change of attitude, and it goes a long way with our firefighter mentality there and first responder mentality. So you evaluate where you're at, find resources to make improvements, create a plan, execute the plan. And then the last part of this is one that's not talked about a lot, is to inspire those around you. Believe it or not, people want to hear your story, especially if it's one that's going in the right direction. And I'm not saying be boastful. Don't, hey, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. Uh, Ask some questions to those around you and see what they want. Like, see if they've done an evaluation. And really by asking questions and relating it back to, your own journeys, you can inspire others. If you want to start eating healthy, talk to your crew about it. I guarantee you, there are members of your crew that would go, "Yeah, I could stand to lose some pounds." Yeah, I'm eating too much crap. Or let's start doing workouts every day. Let's try to do that and build each other up, inspire those around you. The premise of Fire Rescue Fitness really started as I started to do these workouts because I'm not that good as a firefighter. I'm not naturally gifted. And I created these workouts because I needed them personally. And I still, to this day, like when I come out with a new program, it's because I use the program. I just came up with a 40-day challenge because I needed to change not only my mindset of my physical mindset, but my mental mindset. And that's where this 40-day challenge came from. And the last part of FRF, which I never realized, was to try to inspire others to do the same. So if you're listening to this and you share it with one person that you think could use it, that's what it's all about. If I have 3 people view and listen to my stuff, if they share it with another person, that's it. Now, the reason I say 3 is because my mom always listens, so she's automatic. That's 1. But I hope that this maybe resonates with you, hits a point. Look, our job is tough. It is stressful. If there are times where you're down and you feel like the job is getting the best of you, you're not alone. But with that, you got to take some steps to make it, improve it, and then inspire others to do the same. And I believe that there are some great resources out there now more than ever. It's become a lot more conducive to talk about. It's been, the environment that we're in and the culture is now focusing more on health and wellness. And if it's not around you, be the one to make that change. And that's really the purpose of this whole podcast. This particular episode is, understand you're not alone. Take the steps, make the commitment, and inspire others around you. And really, first things first, take a look at where you are. Take a look at educating yourself to make improvements, plan it, execute it, inspire others. And then also look for inspiration around you. If you need some motivation, if you need some planning, if you need some resources, reach out to me. That's what I'm here for. That's the whole premise of the FRF Nation and what we're trying to build here. So with that in mind, don't get down, stay positive, start moving your feet, shutting your mouth a little bit more, burning calories, eating well, and you'll feel better. And ultimately, you're going to be able to be a better responder, make a better impact within your community and your family, and be a great example for those around you. So stay FRF, get FRF, and let me know what I can do to help you and your crew.
Thanks for listening to the Fire Rescue Athlete Podcast with Aaron Zamzow. Please link and share if you'd like more.